Hi readers, welcome to Novels with Nat, and thank you so much for stopping by my 2025 Bookmas. In today's video, I want to talk about the 26 books that I would really like to read in 2026. So I went through my TBR, which is probably a couple hundred books long, if I'm honest, and I picked the top 26 that I really want to get to next year. These are the ones that I want to prioritize. I was also very heavily focused on physical TBR, which I'm trying to read my way through. So I'm excited to talk about them with you guys. I'm not going to talk too long about each book because obviously we have 26 to get through, but I'm just going to get straight to it. So I kind of have these books grouped based on sort of category, I guess you could say. First up, I want to talk about new releases. So I have done quite a few videos on my channel of releases that I'm very excited about that are anticipated for next year, but I don't know if I'm going to actually get around to reading all of them in the year of 2026 that they're released. But I do have a little selection that I 100% want to read as soon as they are released. And so those are the ones that I've added to my 26 for 2026 list. First up, I have to talk about my most anticipated release for next year, and that is Mad Mabel by Sally Hepworth. I love Sally Hepworth. She is one of my favorite authors. She writes sort of literary mysteries, literary thrillers. They're like thrillers, but they're not necessarily like a fast-paced, page-turner, popcorn thriller type of a book. They're more family drama, slow burn type of book, which I love because she's really good at character development and really developing the motivations of each character and the relationships between them. And that's what I think a lot of common mainstream thrillers are missing. And so Sally Hepworth does that really well. So I'm so excited for this. I think it's a bit of like an elderly woman that we're following who is mad. Her name is Mabel, Mad Mabel, and she, I guess, has some secrets in her past. And so I'm so excited for this one. I'm going to be reading this on the day that it comes out. Another one that I'm very excited for is The Caretaker. This one is the second book from the author of We Used to Live Here, which was a horror book that was really popular a couple of years ago. And I'm very excited and intrigued to see what this author is going to put out next. I did have a good time reading that book. I will say I wasn't a fan of the ending, but overall, the actual experience of reading it was great. And so I'm excited to see what he's going to follow up that book with. This one also has tropes that I'm very much interested in. I love the trope of like a person, like a caretaker or a nanny or a housemaid, coming into a home and weird things start happening. That's one of my favorite tropes to read about. So I'm very intrigued by this one and I'm going to read it as soon as it's released. Next up, I have the new Lisa Jewell, which is It Could Have Been Her. Lisa Jewell is an author that has been hit or miss for me. Some of her books I love, some of them not so much. So I've kind of come to the decision that for Lisa Jewell's new releases, I will pick them up if the premise is interesting to me, but if not, I'll probably skip on it. I ended up passing up on her release from 2025, Don't Let Him In. The premise just seemed really basic and standard, like every other thriller to me, so I just didn't have an interest in reading it, so I did not read that one. But this one does have an interesting premise, and so I will be picking this one up, and I'm very excited. It sounds really good. The general gist of what I'm understanding, it's kind of like perhaps about a woman who was almost kidnapped but then not, and then many years later there's another woman that she sees in that house nearby where she was almost kidnapped type of situation, so it could have been her. That's kind of what I understand of it, and I think it sounds really good. The next one is The Unknown by Gillian McAllister. I am so excited for this one. I really enjoyed this author, especially Wrong Place, Wrong Time and Famous Last Words. Those are my two favorite from her. And so this one I'm very excited for, again, because of the premise. It's basically about, I think it's like a kidnapping thriller where a child is taken and then the mother gets a call from an unknown caller giving her kind of instructions that she has to do in order to get her child back. I think that just sounds so like high stakes, high intensity. I think it'll be really good. That one actually is called Caller Unknown. The Unknown is another one on my list, which I got confused, but The Unknown is the new release from Riley Sager. I always read Riley Sager's books as soon as they come out. I've read his entire backlist. I've loved some, I've hated some. I am skeptical of this one, if I'm being honest. It is called The Unknown, and I think it's another historical thriller, similar to With a Vengeance, his release from this year. And I don't love historical thrillers, but I am hopeful. I like Riley Sager's writing style, and so I am going to read this one in the summer when it's released. but I'm not positive I will love it. And then last but not least, on my new release section, I have It's Not Her by Mary Kubica. Mary Kubica is one of my favorite authors. I have a handful of, like, I would say 5 to 6 thriller authors that I consider my favorites, and she's definitely one of them. I have recently completed her entire backlist, so I will be having an author ranking video coming very soon. And so next year, she has a new book coming out, which she didn't have a release in 2025. So it's been a little bit of time since we've got a new one from her. So I am excited. I think her most recent releases have been getting stronger and stronger. I still think Local Woman Missing is my absolute favorite, but she does sort of multiple perspective thrillers really well. All right, next section is backlist books. These are books that are published already that I've had on my shelves for a long time that I really want to get to. I've got quite a few to get through, so let's get started. First up, I have, okay, Gillian Flynn, Dark Places. This is the last book that I have to read to have finished Gillian Flynn's backlist, so I definitely want to prioritize this so that I can do a ranking video. So far, my favorite, I think, is Gone Girl, but her other books have been great as well. There was Sharp Objects, and there was The Grown Up, which was a novella. I just love her writing style. So this one I just need to get to and complete all of her books. And then we have the sequel. This is the sequel to the first book, which was called The Plot, which I read a couple of years ago and I really enjoyed. It was sort of a thriller book about authors, and I had a great time with it. And then I ended up winning this copy, which was an ARC, through the Goodreads giveaways. And I never got to it. It came out in October of 2024, so it's been on my shelf for a year and I have not picked it up. I would really like to read it so I can complete the sort of duology. So this one has to get read this year coming up. Then next up, we have the Book of Doors. This one I picked up on a whim at a thrift store, and I just think it might be a good book for me, a good fit for me, because I like magical realism, but I don't like intense, really like high fantasy. That's not my kind of thing. But I like magical realism, I like light sci fi, and I, of course, love books about books. So I think this one could work really well for me, and it's been sitting on my shelf for about 6 months, so I want to get to it. Next up is a book that I'm 100% going to be reading in, I think, September of 2026. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This one, for me, is just perfect for September. For back to school, dark academia, that's just my favorite time to read dark academia, and I didn't get to it this year. I had quite a long TBR of dark academia books, and this one just didn't happen this year. So next year in September, this is getting read. I'm very excited. I've heard mixed reviews about it. Some people love it, and like it's known as like the start of the dark academia genre, but some people say it's kind of boring and drawn out and too long. So I'm interested to see where I'm going to stand on that. What is next? All right, we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. This one I don't anticipate loving. I just don't think it's my style of book, my genre, but I would like to give it a shot. I do have a copy. I picked this one up in a free little library, and so I really want to try it. I think I'm nervous because Sally Rooney's writing style, I've heard, is pretty hit or miss. I don't think she uses quotation marks in any of her writing. Doesn't look like it. So I've heard it's a bit of an adjustment, but I'm excited to try it and see what I think. It's on the shorter side. It's under 300 pages, so I should be able to get through it fairly quickly. Next up, I have The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a book that was released this year, and I'm very interested to read it. I think it's got sort of like a cult trope in it, which I typically love. I just didn't get around to it this year, but I really want to read it next year. I have never read anything from this author, but I've heard amazing things. This book, I believe, is young adult. So that's kind of one thing that I'm nervous about. I don't love young adult books, but I'm going to try it because the premise looks really good to me. Next up, I have King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. This book is the last book that I have to read to finish S.A. Cosby's backlist as well, and so I want to read it pretty quickly, pretty soon. I read All the Sinners Bleed this month, and spoiler alert for my wrap up if that hasn't come out yet already, but I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It was so good. I would really like to finish his backlist. I love S.A. Cosby's writing. When I read his books, it's not so much about the plot for me as it is the writing itself, which just like is so amazing. He is an outstanding writer, and I just love reading anything that he writes. Any words he puts on paper, I will read. And then, speaking of books that I want to complete authors' backlists, John Mars is another author I would like to complete. I have quite a few of his books left to read, but I only have one more of his books that are considered speculative thrillers, or like the sort of sci-fi thrillers. The last one I have to read is The Minders, and then I'll have completed all of his speculative sci-fi thrillers, and then I'll have most of his domestic thrillers left. But I would really like to complete them. I've enjoyed most of them, some more than others, but I want to finish all of them and see how this one compares. My favorite so far would be The One as well as The Passengers. All right, moving along, we have The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This one I think is also like a literary thriller. I picked this one up at a book sale for like $2. I've heard a lot about it. It was a Reese Book Club pick, and I think there's actually a sequel coming out this next year, 2026, I believe, a sequel to this book. So I'm interested to read this one and see if I'm like interested in continuing with the other book. But I think it was pretty popular when it came out, and I want to see for myself if I like it or not. On the back, it is blurbed by Riley Sager. He says, with dizzying suspense and gorgeous prose, The Last Thing He Told Me tackles tough questions about trust, marriage, and what it means to be a family, a page turner of the highest order. So that sounds promising. I love a thriller with good writing. All right, next up I have an older book, and it is Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I have never read this book, I've never seen this show, and it's one that's been on the top of my TBR for so long. And I think because it's a bit of an older book, I just kind of push it off and say I'll get around to it at some point, and I never do. And so this is the year I'm going to read Big Little Lies. I've heard amazing things about this book. I have read one other book from this author, which was The Husband's Secret, and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars, but I think I will like this one a bit more. Okay, we've got quite a few more to get through. So next up we have Mockingjay. I have never read the Hunger Games series. I had seen the movies a long time ago, but I've never actually read the books. And so this year I decided I wanted to do that. And I read the first book. I'm currently right now reading the second book. And so next year I would like to continue and get to the third book. And then I'll read the 2 sort of prequels. So not much more to say about this. I want to get to it. All right, next up we have a book that I've never read anything from the author of, and it is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I have heard amazing things. I feel like I keep saying that, but I keep hearing such good things about this book and this author, and I think it's right up my alley. I love a sci-fi thriller. It's one of my favorite types of thrillers, and so I think I will really enjoy this, or I hope I will. I also have Recursion by this author on my TBR. I'm not sure which one I should start with. So yeah, if you have any strong opinions about that, let me know in the comments. I don't know. I just went for this one, but I could be easily swayed to start with Recursion. All right, next up, I have the book that I have chosen to start off spooky season with next year, and it is The Shining by Stephen King. This was on my TBR for October of this year, and I didn't get to it. I always have pretty ambitious reading plans for September and October, and inevitably, not all of the books I want to read get read. But this one will be read next year in October. I think this will be perfect for spooky season, like a haunted hotel type of story. I've never read this book. I don't really know much more beyond it's a haunted hotel type of thing, from my understanding, and I'm excited to read it. I try to read a couple, like 2 to 3 Stephen Kings a year. I really like his writing in the right circumstances. I have to be in the mood. I'm not always in the mood for a very long book or a very long-winded type of writing style, which I find his books to be, but every once in a while I do enjoy them. All right, now another thriller. I have My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This book is supposed to be really good. Again, I love a domestic thriller. I've been hit or miss with Samantha Downing, actually. I've read 2 of her books. One I gave 5 stars, one I gave 2 stars. So I gave 5 stars to He Started It, but I only gave 2 stars to her newest release, which was called, what was it called? Too Old for This. I did not like that one at all. So I'm hoping this one will be more up my alley. It seems like it will be. It looks like a husband and wife domestic thriller. Just your standard basic domestic thriller. I love that every once in a while. It's done 1,000 times over and over, but if you get a good one, it always just hits. It's blurbed on the back by Sarah Pinborough and Liv Constantine, which are 2 of my favorite authors, so that's a good sign. All right, we're getting down to the last few. Next up, I have Babel by R.F. Kuang. This book is intimidating. It's on the longer side. It's also fantasy, but I have read 2 R.F. Kuang books so far, Yellowface and Catabasis, and I've given both 5 stars. So I am very certain that I will like this as well. Her writing is so good. Her concepts are so good. I'm very excited. And if you could believe it, I got this hardcover, beautiful, brand new copy for $1 at it was at a library sale. So definitely check out your local library sales. They always have amazing finds. All right, next up I have a book that was very popular when it came out, but I'd never read it. It is Where the Crawdads Sing. This one I think is takes place in North Carolina. It's kind of like a little bit of a mystery, a literary mystery, literary thriller type of book. It's got a couple of genres overlapping here from what my understanding, but I'm intrigued. I know a couple people that have read it and in my family and have recommended it to me, so that's why I ended up picking up a copy at a thrift store and added it to my TBR, and I've been putting it off. Now's the time. I'm just going to read it. If you've read this one, let me know in the comments what your thoughts were. I'm very curious about this one. All right, 4 more books to go. Next, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This one, I think, is also magical realism type of story, which I love. I've heard such good things. People keep telling me that I have to read this book. I think it's about a woman who, every time she meets someone, they forget who she is like the basic concept of my understanding of it. I also am very intrigued by the cover. I just love the solid black with the gold writing, kind of plays on that idea of like invisibility, I guess. I like it. I think it's really cool. I've also never read anything from V.E. Schwab. All right, so the last sort of category that I have to talk about is nonfiction. I typically try to read one nonfiction at least every month. And so I have 3 that I would really like to prioritize next year. Ones that have been on my TBR for a while. The first one is actually The Body Keeps the Score. This one I think is talking about how your body sort of remembers and holds on to anxiety and trauma and stuff like that. It's got a bit of like a medical lens to it, I think, but it's a topic I'm interested in. So that is one of the books I want to get to. The second nonfiction I have is one of the most popular I think I've seen, and it is Atomic Habits. I'm not a huge fan of self-help books per se, but this one is, of course, so popular, so big, and I've heard a lot of people say that they actually got a lot of good stuff out of it, so I'm intrigued to check it out. I ended up getting this copy in a free little library, so I am going to try it. Hopefully, I find something informative or useful or applicable to my life, but we will see. It says an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And then last but not least, my 26th book that I'm going to talk about is Invisible Woman. This is my last nonfiction on the list, and it is one that I've talked about recently in one of my haul videos. I just picked this one up at a library sale, and it's basically about how women are invisible because they're not necessarily included in data. And so it says data bias in a world designed for men. I think it talks about that topic in terms of economic development, healthcare, education, public policy. So that should be really interesting. I'm very intrigued by that topic. It looks like a bit of a longer book. Let's see how long this one is. Okay, there's a lot of sources. Oh no, it's not. 321 pages. Not bad at all. So I am very interested in this topic. I can't wait to get to it. All right, so that was a long video. I feel like I've been talking for ages. I have quite a number of books to put back on my shelf. My shelves are an absolute mess now, but it was totally worth it. So that is all 26 books that I would like to prioritize in 2026. Let me know in the comments what would be on your list of your 26 for 2026, the books that you maybe have been putting off or that you are very excited about and you really want to get to next year. Let me know some of those in the comments. Thank you again so much for stopping by my Bookmas this year. I hope you'll keep a lookout for more videos. I'm posting every other day. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye.